Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys have traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, nose tackle, Kenny Clark. Let me repeat myself in case you didn't hear me the first time. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys have traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle or nose tackle, Kenny Clark. Okay, we're going to break this trade down. We're going to talk about who won the trade, right? How did it even get to this point? Okay, and now because of that, was this a smart move for Dallas? And was this a smart move for Green Bay, right? There's two sides of it. I know the whole world is waking up this morning and you're instantly thinking Green Bay won this trade, right? And why wouldn't Green Bay win this trade, right? Because Green Bay has been a playoff team the last 2 years, right? They beat Dallas 2 years ago. They lost in the first round of the playoffs to our Philadelphia Eagles last year, right? And so the talk is Jordan Love, this young team, this talented roster. Okay, you know, the head coach out there, they be stroking him real hard. They be glazing my man. You know what I'm saying? Matt LaFleur. They be glazing him. I don't know what Matt LaFleur has done that Nick Sirianni hasn't. In fact, I know what Nick Sirianni has done that Matt LaFleur hasn't. But that's not what this podcast is about. This is about the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones trading Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. So Green Bay automatically was a playoff team in most people's eyes this year. They're playing in a very tough division. I mean, the Lions are going to be tough, right? If Caleb Williams can show that he's learned from last year and he's matured as a player, as a man, as a quarterback, right, he could possibly lead this team to being a potential playoff contender, right? Not a Super Bowl contender, but a playoff contender, right? And then you have the Green Bay Packers, okay? Now, you also have the Minnesota Vikings here. Okay, so you're thinking about 4 teams, right? This has to be the most competitive division in football, and regardless whether you're in the AFC or you're in the NFC, right? You got the Minnesota Vikings, right? You got the Green Bay Packers, right? You got the Chicago Bears, right? And then you got the Detroit Lions, right? Now, obviously, 4 teams can't make the playoffs from the NFC North, okay? At least let me think. My math is right. Let me see how it works out. Maybe they could, depending on what the record is, but because these 4 teams play each other, right, they're likely going to beat up from each other. They're going to be taking wins from each other, right? So that's going to ultimately make it difficult for 4 teams to get in the playoffs from that team. But 3 teams is very, very likely and very, very possible, okay? So we're just going to think about that. Green Bay has a very tough schedule, but, I mean, you got Rashawn Gary on one side. You got Micah Parsons on the outside. You got some young cornerbacks that you like out there. Your biggest problem if you're Green Bay is Jordan Love. But this isn't about them. I mean, this is about them. But let's talk about why Jerry Jones traded Micah Parsons. Okay, now Jerry tried to get a deal with Micah Parsons. He had a little handshake deal. They was in the back sitting down talking, right? They threw out some good numbers, and Micah Parsons was liking that, right? But then when Jerry thought he had a deal, Micah Parsons was like, well, let's negotiate with my agent, right? And it's like, huh? Now for Jerry, for whatever reason, and I'm going to just keep it real with you, right? Jerry tried to give my man a 5-year deal, $202 million, $190 million guaranteed, right? But with a 6-year option. Right, with an option, right, which keeps you there, which extends your contract, but doesn't allow you to go and get a brand new bag. Now, in your 5th year, your 4th year, you could try to renegotiate a contract, but you're talking about Jerry Jones. This man was just threatening you that he can keep you this year on your current deal, and then it was telling you that he could franchise you 2 more years after that, right? So why, if you know a guy that's talking that kind of language, right, and is capable of doing those type of things, why would you even re-sign there and then leave your future up for another possible extension later on down the line when who knows where the team will be at that particular point in time, and it may not even make sense for the Cowboys to go ahead and extend you, right? And at that point in time, they'd be trying to either keep you on your contract, right, or send you out the door. Right, and you're seeing things that's going on with guys like Trey Hendrickson. You're seeing things with Myles Garrett. You're seeing the same thing with T.J. Watt, okay? Ultimately, these teams did re-sign their players, but it wasn't without a little bit of a hassle, right? It wasn't without some uncertainty as far as what was going to happen and how it was going to take place, right? But on the business side of things, because a lot of us, we forget that this NFL, this game that we love, right, this entertainment that we love is a business. Right, and if you're Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, listen, say what you want to say about the man. Say what you want to say about the team, right? But people harking back to Herschel Walker, and I'm not going to say this is a Herschel Walker type deal, right? But the deal is this. The Dallas Cowboys wasn't going to win anything. Their window for the Dallas Cowboys to win had been wide open. Dallas and Dak Prescott had just kept shutting the window closed, right, with bad playoff games, right, with bad playoff performances, right, just putting you guys behind the 8 ball. And now when you're looking at the team as a whole, right, you got Dak Prescott, you're paying him $60 million. You got CeeDee Lamb, you're paying him $35 million a year. Now you got Micah Parsons, you're about to pay him $42 to $45 million a year, right? That's 145 plus 35. That's about $180 million that you was about to have tied up in just 3 players for a team that's not going to make the playoffs, for a team that is looking to finish 3rd or even 4th in their division. Right? For a team that's looking down at the Philadelphia Eagles or looking up at the Philadelphia Eagles, for a team that's looking up at the Washington Commanders, right? And this is Jerry Jones and this is Dak Prescott. Jerry, Dak, right? You're saying, man, Dak, we might have a good regular season, but if we go out in the first round of playoffs, I'm going to be mighty pissed off that we paid all this money, right? And if I pay all this money for Micah Parsons and this man can't stop the run and the team is up big on us and they just continuously running the ball down our throat, as I've watched game after game after game after game after game. I mean, Jerry Jones gave a press conference last night, and he was absolutely right. Yeah. Now, fans, you don't like what Jerry Jones said, and I get that, right? You don't expect for an owner to come out and be that candid, right, and to be that crass and to just tell you straight up like it is, right? But that's what it is, okay? Now, whether or not they was really debating that they were going to trade Micah Parsons back in April, I believe that. Right, you have to think about all sides here, right? Because if we don't get a deal done, what is our move, right? We have to have a contingency plan. We can't be sitting there caught with our pants down or sitting on our hands and not knowing what's the next move on how to keep this thing going, right? That's not good business. So, of course, they talked about, listen, if we can't get Micah signed, listen, if Micah's asking for too much money, what is our number? What is too much for us? Right. And at that point in time, we have to start considering some other options. And with the language and with the way that the relationship was going and how things was playing out, it's what happened. Right. It's business. Micah didn't want to be there. Jerry didn't want to sign him to a $188 million, that 4-year, $188 million deal with no 5th year, no 6th year. Right, with nothing, he didn't want to do that. That's why he didn't want the agent there. He wanted to have a handshake deal with Micah Parsons and then go ahead and try to figure out the rest of that stuff later. But Micah Parsons was smart. It's smart for him to have your agent to do the deal because he got a better deal. He got 4 years. He got more money per year. And after that 4 years is up, he'll be able to go out there into the free agent market, or he'll be eligible for an extension in his 3rd year or in his last year of his deal. And that'll get him his 3rd contract. And that's what a lot of players in the NFL are trying to do. They're trying to get their 3rd contract, right? So if you're asking me, I do think that this was a smart move by the Dallas Cowboys. Being a Philadelphia Eagles fan or not aside, listen, if the Philadelphia Eagles, we once didn't re-sign Reggie White. If the and it's other players that we had to let go. We once had to let go of Brian Dawkins, right? We had to look and see where we are as a football team, right? How much do we really think we have a chance of winning? Right, and how much can this one particular player take us and put us over that hump? Right, how much do they affect us in actually winning, and not just winning games in a regular season? We're talking about winning the playoff games and hopefully getting to the NFC Championship or to the Super Bowl. Right, because that's what this is about. That's what you play for. And if you don't have a chance of getting to the playoffs, if you don't have a chance of getting to the championship game or the Super Bowl, then why are you paying this type of money to this type of player when you can trade that asset? And that's what it is, right? Like, I know is, people got funny things to say, slave master, this, that, and the third. Listen, all these players are assets, right? To a franchise, to a team, right? Because they all have value. Right, which is why they get paid the money that they get paid, because there's a value assigned to these players on how much money they can get paid in this one, and then how much you can get for this one, based off their value, based off their worth, based off what other teams value them as. Right, so yes, all these players are assets. Draft picks are assets. Players are assets. Money are assets. They're all assets. This is a business. This is a business. Okay, and Micah Parsons was a valuable asset. Now, did the Cowboys get enough trade compensation back? Now, Jerry Jones said they wanted someone that can help them stop the run. Frank Clark, right, is the 3-time Pro Bowler. You know him, number 97 for the Green Bay Packers. He jumps off at the screen at you every single time I'm watching the Packers. I always see Frank Clark as one of the players that I know. Okay. Now, yes, can he help you? The Cowboys feel like they have viable edge rushers. Yeah, they might not be Micah Parsons, but can they stop the run better along with having a dominant nose tackle up front, right? Can they provide some pass rush, right? If you can get good coverage on your back end, right? The Dallas Cowboys got their whole secondary back, right? They had players that were out. You got Deron Bland back there. You got Wilson back there. You got, what's my other man? Damn. You got Diggs back there, right? And I'm missing somebody else, right? But they got all their guys back. And if they can cover, right? If they can make it coverage sticky, they can give those linebackers, those defensive linemen, they can give those edge rushers, they can give them a split second, 1 second, a second and a half, a little bit more of time to get to the quarterback and put pressure on the quarterback. So I think that this is a bombshell trade. This is breaking news, right? I think that the Packers did get better from this trade, right? Now, the only problem is how will they be able to stop the run? I don't know. I got to look at the stats and see how the Packers were against the run last year, but we know Micah Parsons is not a run stopper. Right. We also know Micah Parsons doesn't show up against the elite teams, right? Against the mediocre teams, Micah Parsons can have a field day. Right. But against the top playoff teams, how much impact does Micah Parsons have? Did the Green Bay Packers maybe overpay for Micah Parsons? Right. $188 million. Right. We're talking about a 4-year deal, $188 million. That's more than 40. That's about 43 to 45. 99. That's 45, a little over $45 million a year deal, right? Huge deal, right? Huge deal. But is that going to put the Packers in the position that they want to be in the NFC Championship game or in the Super Bowl? The Packers' biggest problem may be their quarterback. Hey, listen, the Dallas Cowboys traded Micah Parsons. The Dallas Cowboys wasn't going to be a deep contender for the Super Bowl this year. I do think the Cowboys could have made the playoffs this year, right? I mean, I like Dak Prescott. I like the offense. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got George Pickett. I'm not sure about their running game. They're trying to rebuild that offensive line down there. But Dak Prescott, man, I think the Cowboys would have been good for 10 wins, 10 or 11, right? Depending on what we saw from the defense. And, I mean, Dak Prescott is a regular season quarterback, man. You say what you want to say about Dak Prescott, man. He does put good numbers up, and he does have that team moving the ball up and down the football field, man. But I do think that this move definitely weakened the Dallas Cowboys, right? It definitely weakened them from a pass rushing standpoint, right? Now, you may not get the pressures, you may not get the QB hits, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't play just as effective defense, if not even more, right? So I think the Green Bay Packers won this trade. I think this is a win-win for both teams, right? I don't think either team lost in this trade. The Dallas Cowboys did receive 2 first-round picks. Now, listen, right? Green Bay is expected to be a pretty good team over the next couple of years. They got one of the youngest teams. They just got Micah Parsons signed to a 4-year deal. What will that end up, right? But look at the team like the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Okay, 2 years ago with the 30th pick, the Philadelphia Eagles took Nolan Smith. Okay, last year with the 31st pick, right? The Philadelphia, or the 31st pick, 32nd pick, 31st, 32nd. The Philadelphia Eagles took this year Jahai Campbell, right? With the 31st pick, they swapped with Kansas City. So you think about these two impact players. Nolan Smith, right, already has more sacks in the postseasons than Micah Parsons does. How about that? Okay. Jahai Campbell. Can't wait to see what Jahai Campbell's going to do this year, right? So while we scoff and say the Dallas Cowboys only got 2 first-round picks from the Green Bay Packers, but they're going to be later-round picks. If the Cowboys are doing their homework, man, if their draft is like what we've seen in the last couple of years, the Cowboys can come away with some really great players that can really help this team, right? They got 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years, okay? Understand that. 4, 2 of their own. And if they're not good, they can tank or whatever the case, whatever they want to do, right? They can get 2 really high picks, and then they can end the draft with 2 picks, right? They can take a player that's fallen, and they can take the best player available, or they can use those picks to trade up, right, and get a player that they want, or to trade back and acquire more picks, okay? Like, you got to understand this is what the Dallas Cowboys are doing. This is the different type of business model, this different type of business tactic, right? But they're trying to acquire more picks. They're trying to acquire better quality players, and this is just the way you got to do it, man. This is your boy TK, the official, man. This is TK Sports Talk. The breaking news, once again, man, the Dallas Cowboys have traded edge rusher Micah Parsons, edge rusher, linebacker Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks in 2026 and 2027, and defensive tackle, nose tackle Kenny Clark. Go Birds.